Yeah. Good evening, everyone. So, last session we learned about how to deal with element state events, keyboard events, and button events. We learned about button events, how to handle them. Now, we will see some more events. How do we manage? So, how do we work with those events? So, in the events, we are having another category that is related to timer events, as I told you. So another important we need to understand about timer events, how to use the timer events. Today we will see working with timer events. So how do we deal with the timer events and work with the timer events? So timer events usually same as JavaScript. In JavaScript, you have timer events like set timeout, clear timeout, set interval, clear interval. These are timer related events. Set timeout, clear timeout, set interval, clear interval. These are all timer related events. So these are timer events. How to use these events and what is the new concept you need to understand while working with these events in React. We will see that. So to work with these events, we need a small concept to understand. Let's design one example. So why you need the timer events? What is the situation for that? Let's see. Let's start the project here. We are using it. Right. So timer events, why you need them and how they work. Let's see one example here. Yesterday we designed this for button events, double click and all these options. So one design we will create. I'm using timeout demo. So timeout demo, export and function. You have a timeout demo. So a return is defined, container fluid. Okay, so let's keep this in the startup. I will make this as timeout demo. That is the timeout demo we are having. Okay, so this is an empty page. We don't have anything inside this, it's empty. Now what we will do in this, so we are going to design one example. Let's create a function, and this is msg1. This is message 1, and we have a constant. msg is set msg. Use state, the message is actually empty. There is nothing. Set message as, we will put the message hello. Okay. So another function msg2, and set message as some how are you, and another function msg3, set message welcome to React. We have 3 messages, and we are designing a button, btn primary margin top 2, and this is display messages. So below this we have a paragraph, and we will just keep in the paragraph msg, that is message. On button click we want to show these messages, so we will write a button click event function handle click. So this handle click is going to call 3 functions, message 1 and message 2 and message 3. We are going to call 3 messages, message 1, 2 and 3. And this handle click will fire up when you click the button. So on click, what we have to do, handle click. So we are defining like this. That's fine. Now what happens is, let's keep little bit font size as 3 or 4 and text center. Fine. Now when I click on display messages, what it is going to do is, it is going to display the last message here. That means it is going to show the last message. What about first and second? That means we have message 1, message 2, message 3. 3 functions we are calling message 1, 2, 3. And message 1 is displaying a message hello. Message 2 is how are you? And message 3 is welcome to React. But when I click the button, it is going to display, when I say display messages, then what it is going to do is, it is going to display message, right? That means it is going to display welcome to React, third message. Now what is the concept here? Why I am unable to see message 1 and message 2? What is the reason that you tell for this concept? Why I am unable to see message 1 and message 2? This is because of a concept called bouncing. This is the concept of bouncing. We call this mechanism bounce. Actually, in electronic devices, bouncing is a very common issue. Bouncing is a very common issue. And we control the bouncing by using the mechanism called debouncing. We call that as debounce. What is bouncing is nothing but Actually, for example, you have a remote control with the volume up and down. That means you are having a remote control with volume up and down. Yesterday we discussed what is difference between a keypad, keyboard and a typewriter. What is difference? Typewriter will type and keyboard will key in, right? We key in the characters. So what is the problem in electronic devices? Suppose you have volume up. You press the volume up button and hold down, and you have a little delay in releasing it. Then automatically the volume will reach to 100. From 0, it will reach to 100. Similarly, when you shift down, then it will reach from 100 to 0. By the time you release, it will have several times executed. The problem with electronic devices, especially using keyboard, is when you hold down a key and do a little delay in releasing, then it will type 2-3 times. This mechanism is called bounce. And computer processing speed is so high that by the time you release, it will finish 100. That means it will reach to 100. Then what we have to do? For example, do you know in your computer, this is in our computer keyboard, I am holding down a key. That means I am typing a key. When I hold down a key, it is fastly typing these characters. Can you tell me how to delay the repeat of every character? That means it should not type every character so fast immediately. It should take some time. Even user hold down the key, it should take some time, slow. You can control that by using your keyboard settings. In your control panel, you have a keyboard delay settings. You can use keyboard delay settings in your control panel. And keyboard delay settings will allow you to do that. For example, you open here, you open control panel. This is your control panel. In the control panel, you will have keyboard. This is keyboard. In the keyboard settings, you can see repeat delay and repeat rate. We have repeat delay and repeat rate. Repeat rate is very fast. So I will make it slow. The repeat rate is very slow. When I make the repeat rate very slow, observe I am testing here. Means in the text box I can test. I will hold down a key. Even I hold down, slowly it is typing. Even I hold down, it is slowly typing. Now I will increase the repeat rate. I will increase the repeat rate. I will make it as fast. When I increase the repeat rate, now you can see that when I hold down, it is fastly typing. That means what is the concept of bouncing? Bouncing is a mechanism where
This meeting is being recorded.
Yep. So yeah, online people, is it audible now? Is it screen visible also, right? Yeah, fine. Let's continue. So here, let's see. Now, what is the point is when I click on display message, first function executed, second function executed, third function also executed. But it is so fast that I can see only the last. That means the concept here is all are executed, but the time delay is so fast that we can't catch the speed. We can't see it happening. But actually first, second, third, all messages printed. That means what is the problem in electronic devices is user will trigger a task. He will not wait for another task. He will immediately trigger another task. Then process becomes heavy. It becomes busy, which leads to hang up. That means while using your devices, usually your devices hang up. Why your devices hang up? Generally technically because when you are operating, you are giving many tasks one after another immediately. You are not allowing the previous task to perform, then it will cease the tasks. Then what you can do is, even user gives the task immediately, we will lock that and we can make that inactive for a duration of time and we can later release it whenever the previous task is completed. This process is called as debounce. Debounce is a mechanism where we will not allow the task to run immediately. We will make the task that they are loaded into memory and we will make the task wait in the memory for a duration of time. Within the time, again, the task is released from the memory. So what we can do is actually, we have a concept of, so suppose we are having task 1, task 2 and task 3. We usually have memory. So this is the memory. And we have process. We actually have the process. Now what happens is these 3 tasks are loaded into memory. That means when I clicked the button, task 1, task 2 and task 3 all are loaded into memory. These 3 tasks are loaded into memory when I clicked the button. And after loading into memory, these 3 tasks are released into process immediately. It is so fast, one after another, it released the task so fast that I feel like I can see only last one. Actually, first one released, after that second one released, after that third. Then now what we can do so that user can see the tasks clearly. Then what we can do is, when the first task is released into process, it is released into process, we can make task 2 and task 3 inactive for some time. That means we can lock them. We can make them inactive for some time. Usually in high other technologies, people call this thread sleeping. We call this mechanism as thread sleep. That means a thread is in the process, thread is loaded into memory, but it is in sleep. That means it is inactive for some time. What we will do is, we will allow the first task to perform. Once the first task is completed, then we release the second task. We release the second task. So we load the task into memory and from memory the tasks are released into process immediately. We will not release immediately. We will make them wait for some time. This mechanism is called as debounce. It is a very popular question in React interviews. Actually, it is a general question of JavaScript. What is debouncing and how do you control debounce? Debouncing is an issue that you will bouncing is an issue that you will come across in every electronic device that have a keypad. And what is the issue is when you hold down the keypad, then the key repeats immediately. We have to delay. If you don't delay, you are using remote control, volume up, down, channel up, down, then usually what happens? When you say volume up, down, automatically it will reach to 100. It will immediately come to 0. You cannot control it one by one. For that, we need to manage debounce. And to control debounce, you need the concept of timeout. You need the concept of timeout. What timeout can do is, timeout is a JavaScript event which is available in our synthetic events also. This event is going to load a function into memory and keep it inactive for some time. It will load the function into memory and it will not release immediately. It will make it available in the memory for some time, and after certain time interval it will release into the memory. This mechanism can be controlled by using timeout. So what is the concept of this first one is set timeout. Set timeout. It is a timer event. It is a timer event used to control bounce in devices that use keyboard. It is a timer event used to control bounce in devices that use keyboard. Bounce is a mechanism where task is loaded into memory and released immediately into process. Is a mechanism where task is loaded into memory and released immediately into process. Set timeout. Set timeout can debounce. Set timeout can debounce. So it can lock the task in memory for a specific duration of time and release into process a specific duration of time and release into process. Can debounce. It can lock the task. It can lock the task in memory and release into process. Right. And actually how we use this timeout. Syntactically, we define the timeout, set timeout. Set timeout uses a function, the functionality that you want to perform, and interval. What is the time interval? That means how much time you want that function to lock in the memory. How much time you need to keep that inactive in the memory. So we have a requirement of JavaScript and React people in a company, and not for all of them. They have certain requirements. I posted in my Instagram. I will share my Instagram. You can check there. Actually, they need React and JavaScript developers, and you cannot apply as React developer because still you are learning React. So this is my Instagram group, and I will post this to you, everyone. Actually, in this I posted already here. Just now I posted this. This is one requirement. This is only for 2022, 23, 24 passed out people with these groups. If anybody belongs to these groups, so it is for freshers, right? And it is this is for React and this is for JavaScript. This is only for JavaScript. They need two people, React and JavaScript. We need React and JavaScript. Package is 3 lakhs and bond is 3 years. And once you qualify, they said that they will tell you about the package, how the hike will be in during these 3 years. Starting will be 3 lakh per annum, right? And this is JavaScript and React, same company, both JavaScript and React, and only offline process is there for the interview. And you need to register. I given a registered links here. You can register yourself, and they will keep in touch with you, right? So, and mostly by tomorrow you have to register. Last date of registration is tomorrow, actually, right? So I already shared this in my Instagram. You can go through that, right? You can apply because you already know JavaScript. For JavaScript, if you belong to any of those categories what they mentioned, you can apply. And coming days, some more companies are there related to UI, full stack, and React developers. I will post them. Right? They are asking for people on front end development and with certain requirements. So for non-technical people also, they are asking that I will post later. Right? Once I get a confirmation, I will post that. Right? So that is JavaScript and React developers, actually. Yeah. Fine. So this is the timeout option. Let's see how this timeout works. Timeout is going to work. So that means how the timeout concept works, right? Let's see. So what is the timeout here? What is the problem here? Message 1 executed immediately. Message 2 executed immediately. Message 3 executed immediately. So we will not do like that. We will do one thing. We will use set timeout. Set timeout, which function it should execute. You can directly write the function, or if you already have a function, you can point towards the function. Not calling the function, pointing towards the function. That means what? MSG1. And what is the interval? Suppose I will give 3000 milliseconds. Interval is in milliseconds. 3000 milliseconds. Okay. Now set timeout. This is for message 2. And this will be some 6000 milliseconds. This is nothing but the difference is 3 seconds. Remember, all these tasks I given set timeout. Another one is message 3, and we have, what is it? So this is 10,000 milliseconds. That means what is this means? All these messages are loaded at the same time. That means all are loaded at a time. But after 3 seconds, first message will be released. After 6 seconds, second message will be released. After 10 seconds, the third message will be released. That means even you click the button, it will not do the task immediately. Just like, suppose you are downloading some songs or videos you are downloading. What some websites do, you click the button. It starts a download. You click the download again. It will not start the download again. Why? Because already there is download. It will wait. Suppose you selected a new download also, it will not download immediately. It will say that please wait. Already one is downloading. Once one is finished, the second one starts. That means it is in the queue. In the queue means in the memory it is loaded, but it is waiting until the first one is completed. Once the first one is finished, the second one will come to the picture. This mechanism is called as what? Actually, we call in multi-threading, we call as thread sleep. We call it as thread sleep. So here we can control that by using timeout. That means now see what will happen when I refresh and I click on this display messages. And now you will see that first message will display after 3 seconds. After that, the second message will come. And after that, the third message is going to display. That means all the messages are working. Actually, before I done this set timeout, it was same. It was working same. That means earlier also it was working same. But it is so fast that our eye cannot catch that. That means it is so fast that our naked eye cannot catch that speed. Due to that, it looks like very fast and people think like it is overwritten. Obviously, it is overwriting, but it is taking time in overwriting. But it is so fast you cannot see. For example, you see movies. And I hope you people technically know that there is no concept of movie. There is nothing like movie. Why there is nothing like movie? Because 60 frames per second when they run, they will have 1 second video. You know na? How you shoot the videos. How you shoot the videos 60 FPS, 90 FPS, 120 FPS. What is FPS? Frames per second. That means 60 frames together will make a 1 second movement. That means in 60 frames an object will be moving from one place to another. Then it will get 1 second animation. That means 1 second movement. And the movement is so fast. These 60 frames will run so fast that it will feel like it is moving. Because your naked eye is unable to identify that gap. That's the reason it looks like a movie. But actually it is a collection of 60 frames. It is a collection of 90 frames, 60 frames, 30 frames. 30 frames per second, 60 frames per second, 90 frames per second. In your camera you can set video settings. Right? What is that? 60 frames will execute fast in such a way that they will be duration of within a fraction of second. And that's the reason it looks like it is moving. Now what we are doing, we are delaying that process. How you are delaying the process? By using what? Timeout. What timeout? That means why you need this? Because one of the main problem with user is he clicks a button. It's submitted. Already it is doing work. He will click one more time. He will click one more time. We have to avoid this. That means even he clicks immediately, we will not execute immediately. We will delay and we will release it. That is very important. We can control that by using the concept of timeout. That is how we can deal with timeout. Now there is another option. What happens now is actually task 1, task 2, task 3. These 3 are loaded into memory. Task 1 is in the process and it is working in the process. Due to some reason, you don't want task 2 to go into process, you can delete it from memory. You can delete it from the memory. You don't want it to go into the process. That means you can cancel. Then what will happen is after task 1, task 3 will go into the process. What happened to task 2? You can delete it from memory. Before it is released into process. Remember, once it is released into process, you can't cancel it. Once anything is released into process, you cannot cancel. You cannot revert back. That's not possible. That is the reason, you people do some money payment. When you do money payment, bill transactions anywhere, you click pay. You click the pay button and on the screen, it shows internet connection lost. on the screen, you have seen internet connection lost, but you will see that your money is deducted. How this can happen? You clicked the button and it is showing internet connection lost, but money is deducted. That means, is my transaction completed or not? What do you say? Is my transaction completed or not? Actually, transaction completed. By the time you click the button, immediately the task is released into process and it is done. Only the point is confirmation is missing. And the confirmation comes as a response during the time internet connection lost. You see a message that internet connection is lost, but in the background, the task is completed. Task is completed. That is the reason the amount is deducted, because once you click the button, it's gone. You can't cancel. There is no chance. You can't cancel until or unless what they can do. They can make, after you click the button, they can make it wait for some time. During the time, if you want, you can cancel. That means they will not immediately release. They will keep it for some time. I hope you see your Swiggy orders. Swiggy, Zomato orders, once you place the order, after placing the order, they will give few seconds of time to cancel that order. That means the order is in the memory. It is not sent into the process. Once it is sent into process, you can't do anything. Before it is sent into the process, you can cancel. And that you can do by using clear timeout. That you can do by using clear timeout. That you can manage by using clear timeout. So it is a timer event used to remove a task from memory, before it is released into process. Before it is released into process. So it requires a memory reference where the task is running. It requires a memory reference where the task is loaded. It requires a memory reference where the task is loaded. So syntactically, how it works is, syntactically clear timeout, and you need a reference name. Clear timeout and reference name. Clear timeout and reference name. Right. So now here another new concept. Actually, our JavaScript people, what they do is, in JavaScript, when they create a reference, that means when they create a function and they load the function into memory, the function memory is nothing but a variable name. They use a variable for the function memory. That means actually what JavaScript people do is, when the function is loaded into memory, that means T1, T2, T3 all are loaded into memory. Now, in which memory T2 is present? In which memory T2 is present? There is no reference. All are in the memory. Where is T1, T2, T3? I don't know. Then how do you cancel? There is no reference for T1, T2, T3 in the memory. All are in the memory, but in the memory where T1 is there, where T2 is there, there is no reference. Then there is how you cancel them. That means actually here, these three are loaded into memory. Message 1, message 2, message 3. I want to cancel message 2. That means I will put a button. We will put a button. So cancel message 2. Message 2. And I will use class BTN danger something. Margin top 2 or 3 like this I am giving. That means I have a cancel button. I have a cancel button. So what is my intention here is MS1. Okay. What is my intention is when I click cancel to second message should be deleted. Second message must be deleted. So that means it should delete the second message from the memory. But where is the second message? What is its reference? There is no memory reference. Then do you know what JavaScript people do? They declare variable var1. That means they will declare M1, M2 and M3. Three variables are declared. And in M1 memory, we will store this. In M2 memory, we store this. In M3 memory, we will store this. Now, how to cancel? If you want to cancel, what we have to do to cancel? We have to use a function. What is that? We have a function. What is it? Handle cancel click. Handle cancel click. Okay. On cancel click, what we have to do? Clear timeout. Clear timeout. Which one to cancel? M2. That means the function which is loaded in memory 2, it should be cancelled. This is how JavaScript uses. But in React, now we have a new technique. What is the new technique is, you are allocating memory. In that memory, you are storing some value or you are storing some function. And its intention is not to present as output. Its intention is to use in the process. Understood? That means you are declaring a memory to store something which is not used for output, which is used for internal process. That means I don't want it to show it to anybody, but I want to use it in the memory internal. Then how do you create a memory reference which can be used internally and it is not meant for output? Concept understood? That means I want some values, I want some functions, and those values and functions are not meant for output. They were for internal process. They are for internal process. I don't want to show them, but I want to use them. To create any memory reference like that in React, they have introduced a hook called useRef. They introduced a hook called useRef. React 17x18 version onwards, they have a hook called useRef. You have seen useState, you have seen useEffect. Now this is a useRef. Useref is used to create a memory reference so that that memory reference is good for process and it is not great for output. That means what is useState? useState also creates a memory reference, but whatever you store in useState is meant for showing to the user. But we want some values, some functions in such a way that we want to use them internally. We don't want to show them. For example, I hope you people know, suppose I open calculator. In this calculator, I am using 10 plus 20 is equal to 30. How many tasks this calculator is doing currently? How many tasks this calculator is currently performing? It is performing more than 20-15 tasks. More than 15-20 tasks. But what you can see here is it is doing addition. That means output, what you can see is it is addition. But do you want to see what is in the background? You press Ctrl Alt Delete. Go to Task Manager. In the Task Manager, you see this is your Task Manager. In the Task Manager, go to Details category. Go to the Details category. In the Details category, here we have the column names. Right click on the column name, select columns, and make sure that you selected a column called threads. Actually, it is not selected. In my device, it is selected threads. When you select the threads, you see the calculator. Where is calculator? Calculator, this is calculator app. And see, this calculator app is having 20 threads. That means it is having 20 threads. This calculator app is having 20 threads. That means internally done 10 plus 20. But where is 10 stored? Where is 20 is stored? Where is the result is stored? Where the operation is performed? All this requires background lot of process. And this is not need to show you. We don't need to show you this. We just need to show you the result. That means lot of values and lot of functionalities are internally performed, which we don't want to show to the user. Now you create a memory reference in such a way that it is used for both process as well as output. Then it will delay the process. Then what we can do is we can create a reference in such a way that it can be used only for process. Actually, you can use it for output also, but it is good for process. How you can create a memory good for process? For that, in React, they have introduced a hook called, what is that hook? useRef. useRef. So we don't use this now. We don't use this. That means M1, M2, M3, we don't use this. Currently, which task you want to cancel? I want to cancel the second task. Then what we will do is we will create a reference for that. How to create a reference? LET thread. We are using thread. You can give any name you want. You can use a thread. You can give any name. So we can give any name. I just given the name as thread. Or I will say thread 2. Thread 1 for first task, thread 2 for second task. I will just use thread 2. Okay. And it uses use reference memory. Use reference, it is using use reference. And what is the default value in that? Default value is null. Default, it is null. It is not having anything. What will be stored in this memory? I will decide. That means dynamically we will decide what to store in the memory. We can store a value or we can store a function. Why it is null? Null indicates that we will decide it dynamically. Undefined indicates that we have to decide it at the compile time. At runtime, null. That means now how do we do this? Whenever user clicks the button, these tasks are loaded into memory. Then what we have to do is this second task we will attach to a thread. How do we attach to a thread? We have to use thread. Thread2.current is equal to this task. Thread2 have a current property. Current property indicates the current thread process. In the current thread process, which function should be loaded? In the current thread process, it is loading a function. What is that function? Set timeout. Which function it is loading? Message2. That means message2 is in the memory of thread2 for a duration of 6 seconds. Within the 6 seconds, you can cancel it. If you don't do that, it will execute automatically. And if you want to cancel that memory, then what we have to do? Clear timeout. We have to clear which memory? Thread2.current. In thread2 current memory, whatever the functionality is loaded, it should be deleted. It should be deleted. And when this cancel should work? This cancel should work when you click the cancel button. That means on click is equal to handle what? Cancel click. Cancel click. Then you see now, I will refresh this and I click the display message and I am not clicking cancel. That means first message it will show, second message also it will show, third message also it is showing because I am not canceling, right? Okay, let's do one thing. I click the first message, means display. And after that, I will click the second message. Then you will see that when I click the second message is deleted. Directly after first message, third message will come. That means there is no second message now. The second message is how are you, and it is not showing that message because cancelled. I canceled the task from the memory. That means you see display, it is displaying, and I am not clicking cancel. Then you can see message 1, you can see the message 2, and you can see the message 3. All three messages will execute here. Okay, I will click on display messages, and when I click display messages, first message is running. Before the second message, I click cancel. Then second message will be cancelled from the memory, and directly it will go to the third one. It is going to execute third. This is the concept how you manage. In JavaScript, what we do is we declare a variable. But what is the actually in React also earlier we used to use variables only. In React older versions, we used to use variable, create a variable in that store the thread and execute. But in the future generation of React, they are improving the performance, and for that performance, they are introducing several new hooks. React 19 is ready to release. It is currently in alpha release. React 19 is coming now. It is in 1-2 months. It is going to release. They given the date of November. In November, React 19 is ready to come. And in React 19, they have made a lot of internal changes in compiling system to make the performance better. They changed the compiler. Currently, we are using a compiling system, Babel. We are using Babel. They are making changes in the Babel compiling system and they are improving the performance. So they officially announced that they are changing the compiling system. They are even changing the hook system. Currently, we are using use state, use reference, use effects. They are removing this. They are using only one use word. With the use word, you can use all the hooks. With one use word, you can use all the hooks instead of use effect, use state and all. They are still working. That means it is still in the alpha release. But in the future releases, they are going to make changes in these concepts. So, however, how to use this use reference important. That means here we have a new hook to understand. What is it? Use ref. Lot of such hooks are there. You will see one by one. Huh? So useRef, it is a new hook into React 17x versions. It is a new hook into React 17x versions. It is used to create a memory reference which is intended. It is used to create a memory reference which is intended for process. Which is intended for process. You can configure reference memory to store a value or function which is used internally in the process and not for presentation and not for presentation. Its intention is that, and it doesn't mean that we cannot present it. We can present it. We can present it. Those values we can use in presentation, but it is not good. So it is only for internal process. How do we create this? So let some reference name is equal to useRef and it is null. Now into the reference name dot current, you can have a value or a function. You can configure a value or a function into this. And you can access with the reference of current. So current is a property that refers to current thread process. That refers to current thread process. We will use in different examples. I just first showed you what is its purpose. That means how we use this, how we handle. Next important, so we have a, yeah. So this is example. Let me give you this example. This is a timeout demo.jsx. We have set timeout and we have clear timeout. That is the example for this. I will copy this. This is timeout. That is the concept of timeout. Now, what is the nature of timeout? What is the concept about timeout is, what timeout is going to do? First, we are having three tasks. What timeout is going to do? It will load the three tasks into memory. After that, what it is going to do? It will remove task 1 from memory and it will send into process. Once the process is completed, it comes out. If I want again, if I want the same task again, then again I have to load into memory. Again I have to load into memory. That means the task from the memory is sent into process. After the process it is done, dead. That means the task is deleted. If you want it again, then you have to load it again into the memory. You have to load it again into the memory. That is the nature of timeout. We have another technique. Instead of timeout, we can use interval. Instead of timeout, we can use interval. What interval is going to do is, what actually interval is going to do is, it will load the task into memory. After loading the task into memory, we will set time interval as 3 seconds. After 3 seconds, it will send task 1 duplicate into process. That means it will not delete from the memory. It will keep in the memory. It will send a copy into the process. That means now what happens? This process will perform. This process is going to perform. After it is going to perform, what again it will do? After 3 seconds, again it is released into process. That means it is sending a duplicate into the process. That means it is not removed from the memory. So every 3 seconds it is going to release. That means every few seconds the task is going to perform. Every few seconds it is going to execute. It is going to execute. Every few seconds it will run. Every few seconds it is going to run. That means it will continue this until you delete it from the memory. If you don't delete it from the memory, it will execute repeatedly. What is difference between timeout and interval? Timeout will execute the task once and interval will execute the task repeatedly at regular time intervals until it is cleared from the memory. That you can manage by using another concept, that is what? Set interval. Set interval. It is a timer function, timer event. It is a timer event. Use it to load task into memory and release a copy of task into process. it performs the task repeatedly at regular time intervals. It performs the task repeatedly at regular time intervals until removed from memory. Until removed from memory. Until removed from memory. So syntactically same, set interval, and we have a function and we need interval. We have clear interval. It is nothing but same. It removes the task from memory, which is using the reference of set interval, which is using the reference of set interval. We have clear interval, and this is reference name. Clear interval and reference. Right. Now, how do you control this? That means how do we handle this and manage this set interval? So it is going to execute the task repeatedly. That means just one example I will show you how the task is repeated. For example, just say suppose I am giving, this is my command prompt. In my computer command prompt, I am testing a response from my server. That means what I am doing is, I am testing a response from server ping-t 127.0.0.1. This is nothing but usually this is a command to test whether my server is responding or not. Means I have a local server. Is that server working? Is it on and is it responding? And when I click on this, okay, then you see it shows this one. Reply is coming. That means what is happening is every second, a message, a request is sent and a response is coming. That means we are sending a request and getting a response until you turn off, until you stop. That means suddenly if I stop my server in the background, the message will say timed out, timed out, timed out. It will say timeout. That means there is no reply from server. That means what I am doing is I want to check the continuous performance. Continuous performance means every second I have to give it a task. Every second I have to give the same task. Same task is given to the process every time so that it can perform the task repeatedly until I cancel. Cancel means control C, then it will stop. Otherwise it will continue forever. That means how a task is repeated again and again. So that is very much required. In different situations I will show you. Example, we will see that. How it is possible. That means how you can repeat this. Let's see the difference here. Okay, so what I will do is I will clean up all this and let me delete all this. Yeah, all these are not required. Yeah, just make it simple. I will put a button and I give ping and class. So as so some BTN and BTN primary and margin top is 2. So we are having just a ping. So that is the ping we are having. Okay. This MSG is not there. Clean up. Okay. That is there. Now when I click on this, I need to send a request to server and it will give me a response. Just rough concept I am showing. So first what we will do, we will use a constant MSG as what? Set MSG is equal to use state and it have a message. Message is actually it is empty. Then what we will do? We have a function as a server response and this function have to set a message. What is the message? So reply from 127.0.0.1. Something like this I am just giving. And reply from this, it is coming. This is the reply coming. Okay, and we are displaying that. That is the reply from that one. Okay, now when to do that? So we will write a function ping click. So ping click. So on ping click, we have to call the function. And on ping click, and this message we will show here. That means message we are displaying MSG. Yeah? On ping click, I need to display the message. That means ping click should work on click. On click is which one? So ping click. And here we need to call this message. I'm using set timeout. I'm using set timeout. And set timeout, which function? So which function? Server response function. How much time? 1000 milliseconds. 1000 milliseconds means it will in 1 second it will release. Okay. Now see what is happening here. When I click this ping, when I click the ping, I will keep the message left side only. Okay. When I click ping, it is going to display here. After that it stopped. After that it is stopped because function is loaded into memory. After memory it is loaded into process. After process, deleted. Now if I want again, I have to load again. That means if I click ping again, then what will happen? Again it is going to display in the same place. It will load again, that's it. But I want this process to continue. Every second it should release this function. Then what we will do is, that means it should not delete from the memory. Instead of timeout, we will use what? Interval. I am using set interval instead of timeout. Then you see now I am clicking on this ping button. Then what it is doing, it is printing the message. And after that, actually it is repeating. Every second it is repeating. But what is happening? It is replacing. We need to concatenate. That means we need to add to the existing message. That means, for example, suppose because we are displaying just this, if I use a BR will not display there. Why? Because it is a markup, right? That means markup, it will come as BR only. It is going to display that BR. But what it should happen is it should add to the existing. Again and again it should execute existing. Then what we have to do? We can do one more work here. What we have to do? How to add a message? How to add a message without disturbing the existing message? How do you add another message which is without disturbing the existing message? Suppose if I use MSG plus equal to this reply. I'm using MSG plus equal to reply. That means already what is there in MSG? That means what is there in MSG? That means it is displaying, it is showing an error. See, you see it is repeating. it is reporting. Actually work is repeating, but what is the problem? The problem is nothing but we used a constant cannot allow assignment. So what you can do now is you can change this constant to what? Var or let. You change this to var or let, which allows assignment, and I click on this ping. That means it is going to print that, and it is repeating. It is repeating that process. We can make it in new line or anywhere you can print that, but just the concept. This is just to make you understand how this timeout is going to work. That means interval is going to work. So actually if it is interval, what will happen? Timeout. Instead of interval, we are using timeout. When I use timeout, what will happen? I click on this ping, then it is going to display this, and it will stop. It is going to stop. It is not going to repeat it. I want it to repeat. That means if I want to repeat, then what we have to do? It is not timeout. We have to use what? Interval. And if I use set interval, then you can see that actually it is going to display like this. It is going to repeat, right? For example, if I give this message, so so this is displaying in the location. Actually we can display this in the console. Then it can be better. That means I will use here console.log. Console.log what? Message. Just roughly I am logging that message, and it is not required, just to get a confirmation actually. And you click on ping, then it is replying. You see reply is coming here. Every second it is going to execute. That means what? It is going to execute repeatedly. So if any task you want to perform at regular time intervals, then what you can do? You can define that by using interval. What is difference between timeout and interval? Timeout loads the task into memory, and it will remove the task from memory and release into process. What interval will do? Interval is not going to remove the task from the memory. What it is going to do? It will keep the task in the memory and release a copy of the task into the process. How many times it will execute until it is removed from the memory? We can remove it from the memory. I will show you different examples. We will see how to implement that. But just to make you understand the difference. So if anyone asks, so what is difference between timeout and interval? So timeout sets the task to execute once, and interval sets the task to execute repeatedly. That is the basic difference actually. And actually this interval we will see in so many occasions. That means we will design one example with interval. We will create one example with interval. We will see how to get the data, how to design by using interval, how we can manage. So usually how the interval works, let's first suppose I will show you one concept here. Means you might have already used it when you learned some options, like you have a Amazon. You see in Amazon we have a carousel. And what is this carousel? This carousel is nothing but you can see the slides are changing. Every few seconds it is getting a new slide. And what is the concept here is every few seconds the slides are coming, and this is repeating now. These slides will be repeating. These slides are repeating. That means It is loaded into memory, one after another slides are displayed, and it is looping it. It is repeating it. Actually, it is not a loop. That means we haven't created a indefinite loop. We created a function with time. And I hope you know in carousel, we can control the timing. You learn na bootstrap carousels, we can control the timing. What you can do, data BS interval. You can set interval 5000 milliseconds, 1000 milliseconds like that. Now we can design like this. That means we can create a using our own timer functions. We can create our own. We can create a slideshow of images. They will be changing every few seconds. We can have manual control and we can have auto control. Actually, these have manual control. You can click previous, you can click next. This is manual, and they can have auto control also. So we can design like this. We can create our own carousel like by using these timer events. That we'll see next session. Tomorrow we will do that. Right? Tomorrow we will try some examples by using these functions. We have learnt about them, but we will now implement in real time. In real time examples, how to implement these and use them. That we'll see in next session. Tomorrow we'll continue. Okay? Right. And as I announced, JavaScript and React requirements are there in companies. You can go through my Instagram. There I already posted these requirements. You can go through those requirements and you can register if you belong to any of those categories, JavaScript and React, right? So then tomorrow we'll continue, right? Thank you.